Hi everyone, this week we're in Acts chapter 24. I want to thank Dimpu and Laz and Bongani in Pretoria for helping with the sword study this week. Acts has been an awesome book to discover. It is the book where we see the acts of the apostles, the acts of the Holy Spirit, the acts of Paul, the missionary journeys of Paul, the start of the church. But like all good things, it came with many challenges. Yes, Paul wasn't the ideal man of God, but instead he was the one to persecute the church. But one day God stopped him on the road to Damascus and said, "No, Paul, no more. You are my chosen instrument." Oh, and how God used him. 3 missionary journeys, traveling with Barnabas and Silas, John Mark, Timothy, and influencing so many people. But in Acts chapter 24, we find Paul on trial. And he's being blamed for stirring up the crowds, for causing riots. He's even called a plague. Oh, but when Paul gets the nod to speak, he says 2 things that I want to point out today. The first is that Paul says he lives with a clear conscience before God and man. Oh, what a standard does Paul set for us to live up to. Waking up every day and saying, I live with a clear conscience before God. Obeying his moral standard, obeying his plan of salvation, and so too with a clear conscience before man. Just doing what is right by your neighbor. And then Paul says a second thing. Paul says, I know why I am on trial. Yes, I hear about the riots and the stirring up of the crowds, but I know I'm on trial for one thing, and that is I believe in the resurrection of the dead. And Paul has this incredible moment where he's on trial, but he still preaches the resurrection of Jesus. The day God gave his only Son that we may have life is the day everything changed. We cannot deny that fact. We live in a world where perhaps the resurrection of Jesus is often forgotten, but Paul reminds us that everything changed on that day. And so too there will be a resurrection someday in the future. And that resurrection comes with judgment. But God has given us an opportunity to be raised from the dead and spend eternity with Him. And this is what Paul lived for. This is what Paul modeled to us. How do we share this incredible story of Jesus and His resurrection from the dead with those around us? Have a great week and enjoy the discovery.